Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial are these, I'm gonna call them kitchen wall decor. I'm not really 100% sure what these are. I did ask a few of you on my Facebook group and you guys told me they were just for decorations. I remember my grandma having these. She had one hanging on her fridge, and I think she had one on the wall. I don't remember, but they were adorable. And so the story of why I came up with this, we go to like thrift stores, antique stores, flea markets, whatever you want to call them, and I like to look around for old crocheted things, and then I will recreate them. Well, I found this one in where was I? Was it in Missouri? I think it was in Missouri, maybe. I don't remember, but I found this in an old antique store, and I bought it, and I brought it home, and I sat here, and I picked apart, and I remember I was looking at this, because this little piece comes off, and I was looking at this, and I thought, how am I going to be able to pick this apart without messing up her head? So I got to look, and I'm like, well, I can untie this, and I untied it a little bit. And then I was like, all right, well, I can pick. And then I stopped and I thought, well, look, I can see your head right there. And I just went, bloop, and it comes right out. And that's how I learned that this is actually like a little drawstring that you tighten around the head. So I thought, well, that is so cool. How creative is that? Get that head back in here. And then you just tighten it down, turn it. There. Alright. So, I got that off-centered still. I can't get it to turn around. There we go. Okay, so, this goes back on the button. And there we go. And this one's got magnets on it. And it just hangs on the refrigerator. So, I sat down and I designed this one. I didn't do the little pom-poms. I just kind of knotted it up. And I came up with this one. And this one is the one we make in the tutorial today. So let's talk about what you're going to need. You're going to need a button. Start off with. So here I have a 1-inch button. And then over here I have a 7/8 inch button. Now 1 inch to 7/8, or well, I think that's 1.5 inch. Or did I say that? 1.5 inch to about 7/8 inch button to about 1.5 inch button is going to work perfectly, because we're going to pack this ring right here full of single crochets, and it makes it nice and tight around that button, but not too tight, I should say. Okay, so get yourself 7/8 of an inch to 1.5 inch, however big you want. And then now I did use a pom-pom maker to make my pom-poms. Totally up to you. However you guys make your pom-poms. I do use a pom-pom maker. And then we're going to need a hot glue gun. And the only reason I use that is just because I want to reinforce the pom-pom on my drawstring chain right here. And I just put a little dollop in there and then just kind of hold that on there to make sure it's not going to come out. And then I used a 6mm crochet hook, and I did use a needle to weave in my ends, and then I used a different needle for my button. So I needed a smaller one to go through my button, and I sewed my button on with my yarn. You can sew your button on however you want. I chose to do it with my yarn, and so I had to find a needle that my yarn would go through the eye, and then the needle would go through the button. So you're gonna need that. And then honestly, I just used scrap yarn. I had a skein of scrap Red Heart Super Saver in the color turquoise, and then I had this left over from my Wild Roses wrap, the Mainstays basic yarn in the color green. Okay, and now obviously the next thing you're gonna need are the faces. So, I'm going to put in the description box a link to the website. There's 2 websites that I can get these faces off of. I didn't order any more when I started this because the last time that I had ordered some, I was making the curly Q dolls, and I had actually ordered it's called a seconds box. So basically it's just a box that was full of different doll heads, and I got a bunch of these little flat ones in it. So I didn't have to order more, but if you go into those websites, you can get different heads, and there's actually one on, I think it's the Factory Direct one website maybe, that has a grandma head that I thought would be really cute on this, but I didn't want to buy it. I just stuck with what I had. But if you do get that seconds box, you get heads kind of like these, or like this one, that are good for the curly Q dolls. So it's kind of a win-win. You can make the dolls and you can make the wall decor. So I'm going to put the link to that in the description box for you guys, okay? And that is it. Let's get everything together and get started. Okay, to get started, we are going to get a slip knot on our hook. And we're going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to slip stitch to our first chain to form a little ring. Chain 1. And now we're going to go back into that ring, and make sure you work over your tail. We're going to do 11 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get my 11 done off camera, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have my 11 double crochet done, and we are going to slip stitch to that first double. Chain 1, and that was row 1. I'm going to go ahead and tighten that. Close up that center. Alright, so for row 2, we're going to increase all around besides our very last one. Now increase means 2 double crochet into each double crochet around. So we're going to work 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 all the way around till we get to that very last stitch. And the very last double that we have right here, we're going to work 3 double crochets into it. So by the time we finish round 2, we should have 23 double crochets. So I've slip stitched to my first, chain 1, and now I'm going to go right back in there with 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And that's all we're going to do, and all of the rest besides that last one gets 3, okay? So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and I'm going to meet you on the last double crochet. We'll be right back. Okay, so I've worked 2 double crochet into each all the way around, and I'm back to my my last double crochet. So this one's going to get 3. So 1, 2, and 3. So now we should have 23 double crochets all the way around. Alright, now to end row 2, I'm just going to slip stitch to the first, if I can get my tail, or my working yarn, slip stitch to the first, and chain 1. And now we're going to start round 3. So to move on to row 3, we slip stitch to our first, we chain 1, and to start row 3, we're going to work an increase into the first 13 double crochets. So again, the increase is just 2 double crochets into one stitch. So I'm going to yarn over and go in for 1, 2, 3, 4. So go ahead and work 2 double crochet into each of the next 13, so that we've done 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and I will meet you guys when I finish the 13th. Okay, so I've increased into the first 13 double crochets, and now we should have 26 double crochets. Now we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next 2. So 1, and into the next one is 1. And then we're going to increase into the next. 1 and 2. We're going to double crochet into the next 2. 1 and 2. We're going to increase into the next. 1 double crochet into the next 2. 1 and 1, and we should have 2 doubles left, and we're going to increase into the last 2 doubles. So each double crochet gets 2. And there we go. And once you get all the way around, you should have 40 double crochets now. Alright, and to end round 3, we are going to slip stitch to our very first double crochet, chain 1, and round 4, I think I said row, I meant round. Round 4, we're going to work a V-stitch into that very first double that we just slip stitched into, and the V-stitch is a double, chain 1, and a double. So we're going to go right back in there with our V-stitch, chain 1, and a double, and then we're going to chain 1, I got tangled up, skip the next double, and V-stitch into the next. V-stitch is a double, chain 1, and a double right back in there. Chain 1, skip the next, V-stitch into the next. And that's what we're going to repeat all the way around our little circle here until the beginning. So get off there. V-stitch, chain 1, skip the next, V-stitch into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, V-stitch into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, V-stitch into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, V-stitch into the next. So we're going to repeat that all the way around, and I will meet you guys when we get to the last V-stitch. Okay, so I've made it all the way around, and I worked my V-stitch into my second last double crochet. I'm going to skip that last double crochet and slip stitch into our very first of the round. But I'm going to chain 1 first. I forgot to do that. So V-stitch, chain 1, skip the last, slip stitch to our first, and we should have 20 V-stitches all the way around. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So slip stitch to that very first double crochet, chain 1, and we are going to fasten off. All right, now we're going to move on to round 5. You can go ahead and weave in those ends if you want, but I am going to go ahead and go on to row 5, and I'll weave them in later. But what we're going to do is get a slip knot on our hook, and into any of the chain 1s of the V-stitch, not into the chain 1 between the V-stitches, we are going to attach with the slip knot or slip stitch, chain 1, tighten that down. I'm just going to scooch that over. and we're going to work 5 double crochet right back in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's 5 double into the chain 1 of our V-stitch, and now into the chain 1 between our V-stitches, we're just going to work a single crochet. And then 5 double, give me some slack, 5 double back into the chain 1 of the V-stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to single crochet into the chain 1 between the V-stitches. So just a single. And that's what we're going to repeat all the way around. 5 doubles into the V-stitch, single crochet around the chain 1 between the V-stitches. 5 double crochets into the V-stitch, single crochet around the chain 1 between. And repeat that all the way around, and I will meet you at the beginning. And it is going to get all bunched up. So what we're working on is actually this back panel. This back, no, I shouldn't say panel, the back layer. So it is going to want to bunch up a whole bunch, and that is what we want to have. Okay? So get your round 5 done and come back here. Alrighty, I have made it back around. I have one more V-stitch that I need to work into. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Single crochet into the chain 1 between your V-stitches, and then I'm just going to go straight into that first double crochet, and we're going to slip stitch. Chain 1, pull up a loop, and then fasten off. And that is the end. Let's see, that was round 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, round 5. So I'm going to go ahead and weave in this end. I have weaved in my other ends earlier. But now what we're going to do is we are going to attach the blue, or our secondary color, into one of the double crochets that we skipped with the V when we did our V stitches. Alright, so get a slip knot on your hook, just like so. Alright, now with your little back piece facing you, all I'm going to do is these double crochets that we skipped between all those V's. Oh, I'm sorry guys, not secondary color. We need the green. Oops. Alright, there. Okay, so now I'm going to go into that double crochet we skipped, slip stitch, chain 1, and we're going to V-stitch right back in there. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and there's our V-stitch. So now we're going to chain 1, and all we're going to do is go right into that next double crochet with a V-stitch. 1, chain 1, 1 double, chain 1, go into that next double crochet we skipped. All I'm doing is just laying all this to the back so it's easier for me to get to, and we're going to V-stitch into that next double. Okay, chain 1, go into the next with a V-stitch, and then you can see how it starts to lay up. So we're going to repeat that around for row 6, and I will come back when I'm at the very end. Okay, so I'm coming back around. I have one more V-stitch to go into. double, chain 1, and then I'm going to slip stitch to my very first double, and then I'm going to chain 1 and fasten off, cut, and that is the end of round 6. I'll weave these ends in later. But for round 7, we're going to do the exact same thing that we did here. We're going to work 5 double crochet into the chain 1 of the V-stitch, and then a single crochet into the chain 1 between the V-stitches. So just like before, we're going to attach with a slip stitch, get a slip knot on your hook, into any of the V-stitches, doesn't matter which, attach with a slip stitch, tighten down that slip knot, chain 1, and then start with our 5 doubles. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we're going to single crochet into the chain 1 between our V-stitches, or chain 1 space, I guess I should say. Alright, and that's what you're going to repeat all the way around, guys. And that's what's going to create the little ruffle around our head. So 5 doubles, single, 5 doubles, single, 5 doubles, single. Repeat that all the way around, and I will meet you when we get to the last V-stitch. Okay, so I've made it back around. I've worked the 5 double crochet into my last V-stitch right there. So now I need to single crochet in the last chain 1 space and slip stitch to my very first double crochet, chain 1, pull up a loop, and we fasten off. Alright, so there is the little bonnet part that the head goes in. Alright, so we're going to set that to the side, and we are going to make the drawstring part. So I'm going to take my blue and my green, get a slip knot, and I'm going to go right onto that 6mm hook, and I'm going to chain a length, I think I'm going to go a 1.5 feet, and we'll see how that looks. So I am just going to chain along here with both my colors. I'm going to keep going until this is about 1.5 feet. It's looking pretty. I like chains with 2 different colors. I think that's really pretty looking. Alright. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's going to have to be a little bit longer than that. Maybe... let's go ahead and just do 2 feet. Do a 2 foot long chain. Okay. Let's see, how long are we now? Just about there. I keep losing a strand of yarn. Alright. Now we should be good. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so I'm at 2 feet. So I'm going to pull up a loop. I'm going to make sure it's kind of long. Alright, and what we're going to do now is we are going to bring our piece back, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on my crochet, or my needle. Now on this inner layer of V-stitches that we worked, not the out one, the inner one, All I'm going to do is go between V-stitches coming in and out. I'm not going to go in the V-stitch, just between them, going in and out, in and out. So in, out, in, out. In, out, in, out. In, out, in, out. In, out, in, out. So now when I get back to the beginning, there is, oops, there is a hole. I just really tightened that up way too much. V-stitch between both of our strands right there. Okay, so now what we can do is take our face, whichever one you guys choose to use, put it in the middle, and then take our 2 drawstrings and pull it tight. I'm just gonna, all I'm doing right now is just kind of straighten everything out so it's not so bunched to the head or the face, whichever. And there's our head. Now, I'm gonna do the pom-poms probably towards the end. You guys don't obviously do the pom-poms however you want to, but I'll show you guys how I do them on camera. I'm just gonna do it at the end of the video. So there's the head of our our little wall hanging. Alright, so I'm going to set that to the side, and now we are going to start on the triangle portion, the bottom portion, this down here. We're going to make this piece, and we'll put the button on at the end. Alright, so to start that, we are going to start with our first color. Alright, now get a slip knot on our hook. And we're going to chain 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, oops a daisy, and 10. And we're going to slip stitch to that very first chain to form a little ring. And that is what we are going to be working around. Okay, so we slip stitch to our very first chain. Now we're going to chain 1, and then working over our tail, we're going to work 3 double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, and 3 double crochet right back in there. 2 and 3. So basically what that is this portion right here. Okay? So that was row 1. So for row 2, we chain 1 and we're going to turn. And we're going to double crochet into each double crochet until that chain 1 space, chain 1 corner. So a double crochet into each double, which in this case is 3 doubles. And now into that chain 1 space, we work a double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. And now we double crochet into each double to the end of the row. And that is row 2. So for row 3 to 10, we're going to repeat row 2. So row 3, we just chain 1, turn, double crochet into each double until our chain 1 space. So just a double into each double until we get to that chain 1. and then into the chain 1 with a double, chain 1 and a double, and now we double crochet into each double to the end of the row, and that is row 3. Okay, so we're going to repeat row 2. Get into that last one. There we go. Okay, so we're going to repeat row 2 for row 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 rows, all right? So get your rows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 done, and then come back here and we're going to move on to row 11. Okay, just finished row 10, so I'm going to go ahead and fasten off. Chain 1, pull up a loop, cut. All right, now for row 11 and 12, we're going to attach our blue, because we are working on, let me show you the part, working on this part, that stripe. Get a slip knot on our hook, attach into that very last double we worked with a slip stitch, chain 1, and I'm just going to tighten that up a little bit, and then rotate, and I'm going to work over my tail here, and I'm going to double crochet into the very first double, and then we're just going to continue like we have been, repeating row 2. And all I'm doing is working over that tail. Oops. Get out of there. Well, I did it again. And again. Okay. So this is row 11, and row 12 we're going to do the same thing, double crochet into each double until you get to the chain 1, into the chain 1 space with a double, chain 1, and then a double, and then double crochet down. So we're to the chain 1, so 1, chain 1, double. All right, so I'm going to double crochet down this side. That's the end of row 11, chain 1, turn, and then we're going to work row 12, which is the same thing, double crochet into each double, work your corner, chain 1, or double crochet, chain 1, double, and that. Okay, so I will meet you at the end of row 12. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of row 11 or 12. I've double crocheted into my last double, so I'm going to chain 1, and we're going to fasten that off, and then we have one more row to work, and that's going to be back into the original color, which mine is the green. So I'm going to attach into that very last double with a slip stitch, chain 1, tighten that up, and then I'm going to turn and repeat what we've been doing, I'm sorry. Repeating row 2, double into each double until the chain 1. And then into the chain 1 with a double, chain 1, double, and then we double crochet down the next side. So I'm going to go ahead and finish row 13, and then once I get that done, I'm going to go ahead and fasten off, or well, once we finish row 13, we fasten off, and we are done with that portion. And I'm going to go ahead and I will take a break, and I am going to weave in all the ends I've got, even the ends on the head portion of it. I'm going to get those weaved in. Alright, come to the chain 1, 1 double, chain 1, 1 double. So when I come back, I'm going to have all these doubles weaved in, and the doubles on the head portion. Alright, double into this. But I chose these two colors because I thought the blue would really make the blue of the head, the eyes on the head, stand out. But it kind of does. I guess it's not a big deal. And I thought about taking one of the normal heads I have that are actually round in shape and then just cutting the back of it off. Because I thought that'd be cuter, because I don't have any faces other than All right, I got one more to work into. Okay, now I'm going to chain 1, pull up, and fasten off. But yeah, besides this face, which is a little warped and I can't get it to stay the way I want it to, it goes right back to being warped. And then this face are the only two I have. So I thought about trying cutting the back off of a normal head, see how that works. But I never got around to that. Okay, so now that we've finished our row 13, I'm going to stop and weave in all these ends. I've got 2 on my head that I need to weave in, and then weave in these ends, and we will come back and we're going to work on the portion around the triangle part. So this, okay? All right, so I will be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. I've got all my ends weaved in. So now what we're going to start is the shell border around the triangle portion. And to start that, I'm going to get a slip knot on my hook using my blue, and I'm going to lay this to where the last row of double crochet that I worked is facing up, and I'm going to go straight into the chain 10 ring at the beginning with a slip knot, slip stitch, and then I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to single crochet right back in there. And then I'm going to scoot all of this as far to the left side of the ring as I can, just like that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tighten that slip knot. All right, now I'm going to single crochet around the double crochet in row 1. So I'm just now on this side, if you look, there's actually 1 double crochet and then the chain 1 that's kind of stretched from when we first started, when we chain 1 double crocheted. So I'm just going to single crochet right in there. And then here's row 2. Here's the double crochets from row 2. I am going to work 5 double crochet around the last double crochet from round 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, scoot, and 5. And now into, here's row 3. Now I'm just going to single crochet around that last double. And that's what we're going to repeat down the side. Single crochet around the last double of one row, then work your shell around the last double of the next row, and all the way down to the corner of our triangle piece. So I work the single. Now around this next double, I'm just going to work the 5 doubles. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now here's the next row. I'm just going to single crochet around that last, and then 5 around the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Work a single around this next, and then 5 around the next double. So repeat that down this side, and I'll meet you guys when we get to a corner. So we'll be right back. Okay, so I've finished down this side, and we have 2, 4, 6 shells, or sets of 5 double crochets. So I'm going to go ahead right into that very first double on the bottom, like let's see, that was row 13. Yeah, 13. I'm going to double crochet, or a single right into that first double. And now into the next, I'm going to work my 5 shell. 1, oh, for Pete's sake, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there I made that turn. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is skip the next 2 doubles and single into the next. Skip 2 doubles, shell or 5 double crochets into the next. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip 2, single into the next. Skip 2, shell or 5 double crochets into the next. 3, 4, and 5. Skip the next double, and I'm going to skip right across that chain 1 and right into the last double crochet of the V-stitch right here. I'm going to work a single, and then I'm going to skip the next double, skip the next double, and into here into the next double with our 5 double crochets. So basically all I did is use that chain 1 as an actual stitch and just skipped over it. Oops. Skip 2, single, skip 2, 5 doubles, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip 2, single, skip 2, and then I'm gonna shell right around this post of the stitch right here. So I'm just gonna go right into the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So across the bottom we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we're going to start coming up this side. So technically we just worked our shell, right? And that was around the green. So around the first row of the blue, I'm going to single. Second row of the blue, I'm going to, didn't mean to do that, work the 5 doubles. Single around that green, and then shell around the next. I didn't mean to do that. Can you guys see right there how that blue double that I just made is actually into the top of that double crochet? That's not what I want. I want it around that post. So I'm going to take that out and do that again. Two, 3, dang it, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to single around this double. Oh, single, and then shell around the post right here. And I'm going to repeat that up this side. So I'm going to meet you guys when we get to the end. And then we should have the doubles all the way, or our shells, I should say, all the way around. So I'll meet you when we get back up here to this loop. Okay, so I'm coming back up to the top. And now, right now, around the last post of the post of the last double from round 1, we should be working 5, but I'm actually going to work 3 double crochets around that because 5 tends to want to bunch it up too much. So we're going to do a little half shell of just, oops daisy, didn't mean to do that, around a little half shell of 3. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so that is the end of working the double crochets around our little triangle part. And now what we're going to do we are going to pack this chain 10 ring full of single crochets. How many? Can't really tell you. We are just going to make it nice and packed like this. How it is on this, the one I bought. Because this is what our button is going to go through. Oop, I yarned over. Now I'm going to slide all those over a little bit and keep packing them. Slide them over. I think I can get one more in there, maybe two. Alright, I think that's enough. Now I'm just going to slip stitch to the first single. Now don't get confused with your slip stitch and your chain one. Remember, we only have one single crochet in here and it's right there. So I'm going to slip stitch to that, chain one, pull up a loop, and we're going to fasten that off. Alright, now we're going to manipulate this around to get that to lay straight. And there is our buttonhole. So I'm going to get my ends weaved in again. I'm going to get my button ready, and we're going to sew the button on to our head, because I mean, we're done with crocheting. Now all we need to do is just assemble and do the pom-poms. So I'm going to get my ends weaved in, and then we're going to do the button, and to finish this off we will do the pom-pom on the drawstring part. Alright, so get your ends weaved in if you have any that need to go, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I got all my ends weaved in and I'm ready to sew on my button here. So I went ahead and took the head out, and I have it laying like this because I want the button centered on the back ruffle, centered, oh excuse me, with the point where the chain goes in and comes out. So I want it centered right in there. So I'm just going to get, now I want to go with the green because I want more green to show. But I'm just going to hold that, come in from the back, come through this side. And then one more time I'm going to come up this side. And then come out this side. And then I'm going to take my yarn here. I'm going to go about that long. And then I'm just going to tie it in a knot. And then weave in those ends. And that's it for just sewing that button on. That was easy. An easy part. I mean, and you guys can use whatever to sew your button on. Embroidery floss, actual needle and thread. Okay, so there is that part. So now it's so cute. Oh, I love it. Okay, so now honestly guys, I'm gonna leave it up to you how you guys prefer to make your pom-poms, but I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna do mine. I actually have a little pom-pom maker. And there's my pom-pom maker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a strand of the blue and the, I about said yellow, green, the blue and the green. Okay, so I got to get myself in order, guys. Just a second. All right, set you to the side, get my pom-pom maker. I'm going to take the tails from one side of my drawstring, and I'm going to take those along with the two tails of my working yarn. I'm going to get my pom-pom here, my pom-pom maker, and then I just hold that, and I'm going to wrap the best I can all four of these, and I'm going to wrap it until I get to that chain. And then I'm going to drop the chain, and then I'm just going to keep wrapping with the two strands I have from my working yarn. I'm just going to keep wrapping. And I always, when I make pom-poms, I always try to go with the concept that I'd rather have the pom-pom too big, because I can make it, I can trim it to be a perfect size than be too small and it be messed up. So I'm just going to keep going here. Wrapping and, oops, wrapping. This is going to be a pretty pom-pom. Alright, I got that pretty packed together. I'm going to shut my pom-pom maker. Trim that, and then come to the other side and then wrap this side, and just keep wrapping and wrapping. I always try to make sure when I'm using these pom-pom makers that I want to get yarn here and get yarn here and not just in the middle, but it does get a little tricky after a while. Alright, so just keep wrapping. And when I'm using this, what I'm watching for is how much the yarn sticks up in the middle right there. If it's too much, my pom-pom maker won't shut. See, that's right on the verge of being too much. So I'm going to go ahead and snip. And then what I'm going to do is run the scissors through this little piece right here, cut all this, come to this side, cut all this, and then I'm going to use these two and I'm going to tie it in a knot. So having a sharp pair of scissors really helps with this. Now, for those of you watching this saying a lot of that's going to come right off that drawstring chain that we did. I know. I like doing it this way because it kind of makes a seamless transition from the pom-pom to the I can't get my words out, the chain drawstring, and then I just put a little dollop of hot glue in there. Come on now. It's pretty thick. Okay, so now I'm going to take my tails here and I'm going to bring it right through. I'm going to come right through this gap right here. Right through both of those. Get in there. And then I'm going to bring it around and bring them together. And then I'm going to tie them in a real tight knot. So basically what I'm doing is tying down all of those strands I just cut. Come through there. Okay, there. Nice and tight. Now be careful because it will pop off or I mean not pop off, but your yarn will snap if you pull that too tight. I've done that. That is such a pain in the butt. Okay. Come on now. There. I just pull that tight. So there it is. I can cut these tails. There's my pom-pom. So now what I do is I pop this side open, pop that side open, and then pull it apart. And there we, oh, sorry guys. There's my pom-pom. Now obviously I need to trim it up, but what I would do is I'd come in here and I'd put a dollop of hot glue and then just set that cable on there so it stays nice and tight. So I'm going to go ahead and get my hot glue gun. Got sitting right here. Get that plugged in. Get that getting nice and warm. All right, let's get that turned on. I have to set mine on something because the hot glue tends to want to run out of it. Okay, so now all I'm going to do is wait for that heat gun, or I mean glue gun, to warm up. But what I will do is hot glue that down so it doesn't come out, and then I'm just going to start trimming. Now I'm not going to go crazy with it because I don't want it to be much smaller than what it is right now. But I'm going to do that off camera because I have got to do that over a trash can. I think I ought to just go outside, but it is so ridiculously hot outside right now and I don't want to. So I'm just going to do it over my trash can and come back, and I'm going to show you guys what my pom-pom looks like, and then I'm gonna do it off camera, but I'll have the second one done too. Okay, and then we will be done. Done. Oop, I didn't mean to do that. And actually, I think before I end this tutorial, I am gonna go get one of my round heads instead of just the flat ones, one of the round heads, and I'm gonna cut the back of it off and see how that works in this instead of just having that, you know, the flat face. Because that's, like I said at the beginning or earlier, that's the only two faces I have, is this one and then this one that's warped that I can't get to straighten out. I even took a lighter to it. You see where it got dark right there? Because I was trying to get the plastic to get hot so then I could, you know, maneuver it to where I wanted it to go, and it did not work. So I will sacrifice one of my heads for you guys to see if I can get the round head to work. I don't know, I guess I may not even have to cut it. Alright, anywho, let's see if this is ready. Alright, so my hot glue gun is ready. So what I'm going to do is take this and I'm going to kind of just pick apart this pom-pom a little bit. I think I'm just going to go right in here. I'm going to put a dollop of hot glue right there. And then just set that chain right in there. Oh my god, I got it on my finger. That's hot. Alright, I'm going to let that cool. And then I will trim that off camera, and then I'll get that other one done off camera and do the round head, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back and I finished my pom-poms, and I did cut the back off of one of my heads, and after I did that I realized how much smaller the head is and I didn't like it very much. So if you guys have a flatter or a bigger head, that would be awesome. But I'm just going to tie this in a knot. tighten this down on my head. And there we go. There is our I want to say vintage wall decor. I don't know. I just think it's adorable. My grandma had, I remember two. I remember one on her refrigerator and then one on the wall. But anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed my tutorial. Thank you so very much for watching. Check out my description box. I got links to the stores you can get those faces from. And I got links to my Facebook group, my Instagram, and my Twitter. Check those out. And that's it, guys. I can't think of anything else that I need to tell you besides subscribe if you haven't. Hit that thumbs up. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.